D-Wade's all in my way. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Get your camera phones out. Get your camera phones out. Because Amadou Diallo is in the building. Left Rack City, we're alive. That shuts it down.
He got up, Kenny, but the hand on the shoulder, though, Kenny.
Wait, let me see.
Look at that.
No, that's on the back. But you still, you elbow in the rim.
Let me see.
You elbow in the rim. You elbow in the rim.
Elbow in the rim.
Come on, man.
No, that's good.
Elbow in the rim.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I got him.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's a thing.
And that was just nasty. That's Hamidou Diallo in the 2019 Slam Dunk Contest. It's Views from the Sideline, February 19th, 2019. What's going on, fellas?
Hi.
Oh, hey, Joe.
Not much. Back to the podcast after All-Star Weekend.
And it was an no, it wasn't. It was a pretty
I'm happy we're back to
regular basketball.
Yes. Regular basketball. We'll talk about all of it later.
NBA All-Star Weekend, that's what it was.
The usual NBA All-Star Weekend. No defense, not many storylines.
There was
one good dunk.
A few good highlights.
It was the most usual All-Star Weekend ever. I feel like that's the best way to put it.
That really isn't a positive when you think
No, it's not. I'm not saying it is.
I'm just saying, yeah. That phrase,
nothing stood out of the ordinary this weekend. Like sometimes like the DeMarcus Cousins trade made that All-Star Weekend like really crazy. The Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine dunk contest, that was something we didn't expect. You know, there's certain things that stand out. This year, there was absolutely nothing that really stood out. And we'll get into it at the tail end of the show. We'll break down All-Star Weekend. Joey is going to break it down for us. He is the All-Star Weekend expert. Right, Joe?
That's right.
That's right.
Sat and suffered through it all.
So we'll talk about
Except
that a little bit later.
for almost shedding a tear for your boy. Dropping those deep threes. Those are probably the last deep threes he'll hit in his career.
Joey's boy, Dirk.
Unfortunately, not in the three-point contest, though.
Yeah, that was rough. Did he end up making it all the way through?
Yeah, with plenty of time.
Nice. At least we don't have to worry about him missing a whole rack. But let's jump right into it. Let's start in the NFL. A little bit of off-season news so far. Antonio Brown, he requested a trade last week. Him and the owner of the Steelers had a heart-to-heart, they said. I think it was reported this morning. And they've officially decided to move on. Like, it's best for both the franchise and Antonio Brown. And that is likely going to happen in the offseason. Where do you guys want to see Antonio Brown land? Not where you expect him to land. Where do you want him to be? Joe?
Well, if you're asking where I want him to be, I want him to be right here in Detroit. Do I expect him to be here? No.
Do you think there's a slightest chance?
Never.
He's not a free agent. He has to get traded.
Yeah, he has to get traded.
So it's not like it's his choice.
Yeah, and the Steelers are still up in the air if they even want to do it. Obviously,
it sounds like they're gonna
obviously it'll be hard if they keep him, but the asking price is going to be pretty big.
Of course, because he's
arguably the best receiver in NFL. So I don't think the Lions necessarily have the pieces for it, and I don't really want the Lions to give up too many draft picks, which they would have to do. So I don't know how it would work out, but I guess at the same time, if they could get it done, I'd go for it.
I think what you just brought up a little bit kind of ties into the importance of this offseason for the Detroit Lions. There's been reports about how they might look at a quarterback in the first round. Now, reports of Antonio Brown being available. It's kind of a pivotal moment in the franchise Because do they decide to start a rebuild, or do they double down, kind of like the Pistons did with the Blake Griffin trade? Do they double down, give up a bunch of assets, add Antonio Brown, maybe the last piece to the puzzle for Matthew Stafford? It's interesting. I could see Quinn going either way. Bob Quinn, the Lions general manager, going either way. What do you guys think about that? Do you think they double down and kind of try to make a push for the playoffs, or do you think they gradually ease into a rebuild by drafting maybe a quarterback? Joe, Malik, either.
Go ahead, Malik.
We're talking about the Steelers, right?
Lions, do you think they ease into?
I zoned out.
Swap
completely.
gears.
Yeah.
Do you want
I
the
zoned out when we
it's-
yeah.
Do you
for
want the
like
Lions
past
to
seconds.
start a rebuild and draft a quarterback, or do you want them to go after Antonio Brown and kind of double down on trying to make a playoff push or something like that, or being better, kind of like what the Pistons have done?
Before he jumps into it, I'm glad I'm not the one zoned out this time.
Yeah.
It's a first.
So I'll go first.
I'm here now. I
I-
can go first. I can go first. I'm here
Okay.
now.
All right, go ahead.
I would hate to see them stop trying to go for it. Stop trying to keep. You're not going to make a playoff run anytime soon. Your division is going to keep getting stronger. Adding one player isn't going to push you ahead of all the other teams. Break it down. You haven't really taken since the 0-16 season. You had your run. You had your playoff chances. You had some good teams. But holding on to this dream with Matthew Stafford at quarterback, it clearly passed. The time has passed. Calvin Johnson isn't there anymore. Golden Tate might have been the last remnant of what the past was. Break it down now. It's time.
Joe?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I would rather go into
I'm a little surprised by
rebuild.
that. I
Yeah.
would think you would double down, especially since you're all
I'm close.
Lions make the playoffs.
I'm close to doubling down, but only double down if you can manage to pull off the miracle off season and get like an Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell who's still sitting out there.
What if they got both?
Then double down. I double down on those guys. But other than that, you got to go rebuild. Like I said before, I would really like if they could take a quarterback in the draft. It's hard though because they still have Stafford locked in to take a quarterback that high. But I feel like if you could get your hands on Haskins or Murray, it would just be so helpful to have them kind of be molded in the system before you let go of Stafford, especially if you were able to pull Murray. I think that would be a really cool kind of mix for the team. It would definitely change the dynamic of the offense, and it would allow probably their running game overall to open up, and it just gives them a secondary option, and then they can develop Murray because a lot of people are questioning how he'll work out in the NFL. So you can kind of develop him as that secondary, like weird running quarterback to come in and do some every down, some downs here and there. And then when you're done with Stafford, you can just fully relinquish the starting job.
Malik, where do you think, or where do you want Antonio Brown to land? Outside of the Lions, because Joey already said the Lions, but outside of the Lions, where would you want Antonio Brown to land?
I don't consider this one a cop out, even though it's been kind of rumored, and the best receiver of all time has been pushing for this to happen. Also, seeing him in San Francisco would be cool to me. Jerry Rice has been talking about he's been talking to Antonio Brown, and Antonio wants to come to San Francisco. I don't read into any of that really, but seeing him with that young core building up, him and Jimmy Garoppolo trying to become another Montana and Rice, it would be a really cool storyline seeing them come together and seeing Jimmy Garoppolo grow as a quarterback with this top 5 receiver and see how they come together.
What about the Browns? They're riding a high right now.
Do you really think they would trade him to a team that's going to supplant them in the next few years?
That's true. That's true.
I think they're too smart for that.
But also the Browns could, I mean, they are the Cleveland Browns. They could totally tank, and then you get value from their picks. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, Antonio Brown's not going to be a savior, but it's just a good piece next to Baker. But, I mean, if I'm Pittsburgh, I could totally see, like, I guess we could get a bunch of picks from Cleveland, and if they tank, which more than likely the Browns will tank because they're the Browns, then they get a bunch of good value for him.
This is the first time the Browns have had actual hope in years. They're not going to mess
Okay.
this one up. With Baker Mayfield back there and the pieces they have, I don't.
You're actually buying into the Cleveland Browns.
I'm buying into them being a good team.
Okay. Where do you expect?
Although the organization is still messy, but they've improved.
Fair enough. Where do you expect, not where you want him to go, where do you expect Antonio Brown to land? Where is he playing week 1 next season, Joey?
That is a more difficult one. Where will he be?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like his most likely is going to be Oakland.
You think
Or
Gruden,
Green
the
Bay.
Raiders?
You think Gruden trades even more of his team away?
I could see it.
Or what was the second one?
Green Bay.
I can
And
see
I'm
Green
more
Bay.
scared of the Green Bay thing.
What about you, Malik? Do you think San Francisco too?
I'm going to go San Francisco 1, and for some reason, this team just popped in my head. Miami 2.
Miami.
Miami's kind of been on the radar about it.
Really?
I mean, every team would like him.
I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't trusted Miami ever really, besides those few surprise years with Chad Pennington and the Wildcat offense. They haven't made great decisions. They've stuck with Tannehill too long. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried. They go drastic and say we need to get ahead of Tom Brady and the Patriots now. Let's go for the best receiver in the league. And maybe him, Tannehill, and Devontae Parker will become a force.
Fair enough.
It wouldn't be surprised me if they did something like that.
Let's transition to some college hoops. That's really the only NFL things we want to talk about today on the show. Michigan State move up a spot to number 10 in the rankings. They rolled past Ohio State. But then Nick Ward's out a few weeks with that hairline fracture. How much is this going to impact MSU? You see them starting to, it seems like, get higher and higher on the college rankings, but then they have to deal with the Nick Ward injury. Although he's not been a huge impact on the glass, he's still a huge impact on this team. How much is this injury going to affect Michigan State moving forward?
I think this will only impact them a little.
Only
honestly.
a little, not much?
Because the times when they look as bad as they have and they've taken embarrassing or bad losses, Nick Ward is one of the main reasons why it happens. He doesn't show up. The rest of the team can't get going because they make an effort to get Nick Ward going in the beginning of a game. And if he doesn't get going, they have to change up their entire thing, and the whole system and the way they approach the game goes out of whack. With him out, they can run a more fluid offense. They don't have to force it down low and try to get somebody going so the rest of the team can try and get going. I personally believe Xavier Tillman is the best the best post player they have at this point right now. They're going to keep running the same system. They want to run up and down fast every time they get the ball, try to score in transition. They're going to keep playing tough. Kenny Goins is playing out of his mind the past few weeks. He might be their MVP the past few weeks, how well he's been playing and how he's improved his three-point jumper. So with Xavier Tillman and Kenny Goins playing as good as they've been playing and the freshmen getting better each week, I honestly think they'll be all right. I think they will be.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm with Malik. I think possibly this could help the team. It allows them to, like Malik also said, to run more and get out in the fast break, which they like to do. And Kenny Goings, like Malik also pointed to, is that he is playing out of his mind right now. He's playing really, really well. And to have him and Xavier Tillman is kind of a luxury that Michigan State has had. So losing Ward is nowhere near like when they lost Langford.
If they lost Kenny Goins, I think this might have sunk their entire season. Because the way he rebounds and the way he's shooting the three, that really would have sunk a lot of their offensive production and how they move.
And this honestly might help their matchup against Michigan on Sunday even more because they match up better with Michigan again without having Nick Ward in the lineup.
That's an
because they
interesting
can
take.
run with Michigan.
I understand that, but that's also Nick Ward is still one of their better players. I
Right.
understand, they maybe
Yes.
be able to run more, but when you're down one of your best players,
It
I never
hurts.
consider that a positive going up
Right.
against someone.
The only question there will be is that Nick Ward does give you consistent scoring. He's played really well these last couple weeks. So that's the only issue. But
Michigan has a solid defense.
if
too.
Goings
So
and
I think going up against Teskey, I think Nick Ward, I don't think he would have had a really good game.
Okay.
yeah, I think that the way that Michigan runs their offense is hard for Michigan State to match up against. But now that the way it is, I think they'll be much better off.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see Sunday.
Right.
This week, the Spartans, they play versus Rutgers tomorrow night. That could still be an interesting game depending on what MSU team comes out to play.
Rutgers is a surprisingly average team. Everybody expected them to be terrible.
And Michigan State
they're an okay team.
And State's seems to be quite the streaky team right now. So it kind of depends what team comes out onto the floor tomorrow night. But then they go on the road to Ann Arbor to play at Michigan. Let's preview this one a little bit before we even talk about Michigan. What do you guys expect to see Sunday?
A Michigan win.
Simple and plain.
Yep. As much as I said that I think Michigan State is going to match up better against Michigan now without Ward, they still are going to be without Langford the rest of the season, and that is a big blow against this Michigan team, I think. I think you need more perimeter scoring, and I don't know if Matt McQuaid gets it done. He looked a little better last night or the other night, and I just don't think Michigan State is going to have enough to get over Michigan. Like, Michigan has so many more guys at the moment, especially where they can stretch the floor and they don't have to worry about those athletic bigs that Michigan State has necessarily. And the way that Charles Matthews is playing right now with these mid-range pull-ups, I think it throws a lot of teams off because you don't see it that often these days. And the only way that Michigan State's going to win this game is if they can control Brazdeikis. He's been kind of the one X factor for Michigan. When he scored 20 or more, they've only lost once.
How do they control Brazdeikis? How do they do that?
It seems to be getting in his head. I don't know exactly who's going to do that for Michigan State. Matt McQuaid maybe could.
Do you think if they get physical with him early on, they could throw him off?
It could. I definitely think it could. So it'll be interesting because I do think that it would be Matt McQuaid that would match up against him, perhaps.
I think they put Kenny Goins on him.
You think so?
Honestly, if you put Kenny Goins on him, Kenny Goins
Has Kenny been sorry to cut you off, but has Kenny been getting consistent minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a key part of what they've been doing the past few weeks.
Yeah, and he'll get a lot of run
But
time.
if you put Kenny on him early, he could get into Brazdeikis' head. And also there are times where Brazdeikis, when he's not going on offense, he can get kind of like lackadaisical and slump off on defense, and that'll get going on offense. So yeah, I think that'll be a better matchup for Michigan State.
And the other thing too is you just leave Xavier Simpson alone. I think you let him try to do his thing, and if he beats you, he beats you. I think that's how you have to
You're
play
such
Michigan.
a Xavier Simpson
It's
hater.
true though. Like, if you have a guy on your team
He
that
does
isn't
have
the
a
greatest
point, though.
perimeter
'Cause
shooter,
when Xavier's shot is falling, Michigan is almost unstoppable.
yeah. And I mean, Xavier's game this year has been that little baby hook that he has, which has been great. I like that offense
I
from
don't
him.
think it's so baby. I think it's a little more sky hook to it.
It's a mix of both.
But
'Cause
anyway,
he
He throws some sky hooks up
Yeah.
there.
Anyway, I don't think he's going to be able to get into the paint as easily against Michigan State, so he's going to have to shoot more perimeter jumpers. But
do you think
I think you let him beat him.
Do you think Foster Lawyer gets some time?
He'll get a couple minutes.
Just
He-
just to give
he-
Cassius
he-
somewhat of a break.
He honestly hasn't looked that good
He doesn't look good at all.
in game time.
Well,
so,
partly is because he can't defend anybody.
right.
And Cassius, that's why it's starting to look like Michigan State's slowing down a little
He
bit.
definitely
because
won't be able to guard Xavier Simpson either.
Cassius has got to play like 38 minutes a game because they
And-
get no
Yeah.
help from their bench at that point guard
And
spot.
him playing Xavier Simpson in this game and having to play that much will not be a good thing. It really won't, because Xavier Simpson is a top 5 defensive point guard in the country. Cassius is a guy that can get his bucket sometimes depending on his matchup, but going against Xavier, if Xavier doesn't leave, the pick and roll is going to be essential for Cassius because he has to get open jump shots. Him trying to go at Xavier, that's not going to work.
So, Malik, you got Michigan Sunday?
Yeah, especially since this is a home game.
If it was at Michigan State,
It would, I think it would be a real question.
okay.
But seeing the matchups, Nick Ward being out, I think Tom Izzo's going to have a hard time trying to adjust in the game to how deep Michigan is right now and how well they're playing, especially since they have a even more of a dimension now because last game against Maryland, Dave DeJulius played 8 or 9 minutes, and now John Beilein is saying this is his time to become that backup, and he scored against Maryland. He looked confident. Brandon Johns is coming off the bench as a true freshman. There's a lot Michigan has to throw at them, and if Michigan State doesn't come out strong in that game, it could get ugly pretty quickly.
Yeah. Let's talk about Michigan. Let's move on to them. They fall to number 7. They lose to Penn State. It was at Penn State, 75-69. I think we talked about this before the show. Penn State just completely outworked them. They're not a more talented team. They just completely outworked the Wolverines. Michigan, they bounced back. They beat Maryland 65-52, and Maryland's ranked number 24 in the country. Joe, are you worried about Michigan basketball?
Only slightly. I don't like when they go and they beat Wisconsin the week before, and then you lose to Penn State, and then later in the week you beat Maryland pretty handily. I just don't like the up and down. I want to see more consistency out of the team, I guess. We're back to seeing Charles Matthews playing well, but as we've seen previously, he also has been on a roller coaster all season. So I just want more consistency from Michigan, and I want them, if they're going to lose more on just like a poor effort. I mean, they definitely had a poor effort tonight, or against Penn State, but it's just too back and forth. I need consistency.
Fair enough. Michigan has 5 games left on their regular season schedule. They go at Minnesota Thursday.
Yeah.
Then we got the game they got the game against MSU on Sunday.
Then
Nebraska, and then
Nebraska,
Maryland again, and then
Maryland.
MSU. So they have
a rough stretch.
Yeah, this is their part of the schedule to really show what team they are heading into the Big Ten tournament. How many losses do you see in the next 5 games?
I could see 2. I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped at Maryland, because during that Maryland game, they figured out ways to attack Michigan, and they started really getting going. Michigan was just able to lock in on their defense and punch more every now and then. Michigan has showed they can slack off at times, and offensive inconsistency can really sink them. So if that happens at Maryland, Maryland can win by 13, 14, maybe 15 points. And nobody would be surprised if they dropped one at Michigan State.
Yeah. Joe, how many losses do you see in the next 5?
I agree. I'm more on the lines of seeing 1, and it's either the Maryland game or the last Michigan State game. I'm slightly nervous about this Minnesota game, though. It's like one of those games they would lose, especially recently, or as we've seen throughout the season.
Minnesota played them really tough.
They've dropped
last
some random,
time, and Minnesota's kind of on a little bit of a roll right now.
Yeah, so I want to say it's sort of a trap game, but
Yeah.
I see them losing maybe to Maryland or Michigan State, ending the season. Which, honestly, if they lost to Michigan State the last game of the regular season, I feel like that would be a really positive thing, because hopefully that would push them going into the tournament, and Beilein could really get on them.
Let's go around college hoops for a second. Outside of Michigan State, who are you guys watching right now? I'll start with Malik, because I know Joe's not prepared.
I'm slightly prepared.
But Malik, who are you watching outside of Michigan State? Who should the people be focusing in on as we inch closer and closer to tournament time?
Well, the 2 main teams, first of all, I feel like people still aren't paying attention to them outside of the South, because outside of Kentucky and Tennessee, people see that as the SEC mainly right now. Right now, LSU is a top 15 team. They are 20-4, and I think they're
21-4.
21-4, and they have 1 loss in the SEC. I picked them as one of my surprise teams in the preseason because I saw how talented they were. I didn't know how well coached they would be. Will Wade is really putting these guys in great positions and really playing to their strengths as true freshmen. And although Tremont Waters doesn't have the numbers he had last year, he's the leader of that team, and he's playing point guard at an excellent level right now, and it's showing. with how well they're playing. And getting that win in Kentucky was a huge, huge thing for them, and it showed that they're not a team to be reckoned with. And then second, Marquette, a team that, honestly, another team that a lot of people aren't looking at. They're a top 10 team right now, being led by two of the best shooters in the country, and the top, well, maybe number 1 or 2 scorer in the country, point guard wise, and Marcus Howard. He's had 3 or 4 40-point games this season. He's had a 50-point game. Then you have Joey Hauser, who's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. They are a fast-paced team that will let it fly from 3-point range, and if they get hot, there aren't many teams that can beat them.
But what are your concerns with Marquette? Because like you said, if they get hot, nobody can beat them. But there's a reason why they're not a top 5 team in the country right now.
They rely on Marcus Howard and Joey Hauser
heavily.
shooting.
Too heavily.
Yes. Marcus Howard averaging 25 or 26 points a game. He is the linchpin of that offense. Once he gets going, everybody else gets into a flow, and that offense is off and running. But yeah, if Marcus Howard is off, that team struggles to find offensive consistency. Joey Hauser could still be on, but yeah, without Marcus being on, because he's not the best point guard in the country. Passing wise, running and offense wise, he's okay. His scoring is the reason why that team is where it is right now. So yeah, they're a team that could get upset in the tournament, but right now the level that they're at, they're a huge surprise. And thirdly, I'm just gonna throw in Houston because they only have 1 loss on the season. They're number 9 right now.
Do you think people are underappreciating what Houston's doing this year?
Oh, definitely, because they play in the American Conference, which is a average basketball conference. But what they've built with that program in the past few years, last year they should have beaten Michigan, but they weren't able to be clutch and close it out, and they.
I mean, let's be fair
win it in
here.
the last second.
Michigan really did get lucky to win that game. I mean,
They did, but that's the thing
tough-
that happens in the tournament.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I won't say
But also, they had chances to hit free throws to
that's
close the
true.
game out.
You're right.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Left the door open. Tournament things happen in the tournament.
Definitely.
But they've bounced off of last season. Their returning players are playing really well. They got a top 100 recruit in Nate Hinton that's playing really well. As a team, they're a team that can't be ignored. And in the tournament, they could make a bit of a run if people don't really look at them.
Joey, you prepared?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
One of my teams, and I've been going to them in my tournament bracket the last couple of years, is Iowa State, the Cyclones.
I feel like the Cyclones are like your New Orleans Pelicans of college basketball.
Potentially.
Iowa State actually gets the postseason.
They're
pretty
actually
New
consistently.
Orleans made it to the postseason last year and beat the
I said
Trailblazers.
pretty consistently. They get to the postseason pretty good.
Continue, Joe. Sorry.
Anyway, the Cyclones they play hard every night. It seems like when they lose, it's not by much. Like they're always in games. And granted, the flip side of that is even when they win games, they're not blowouts necessarily. They did blow out West Virginia, who was pretty good earlier in the season. But this team just plays hard, and they're like we said, they always have experience. And they have Mariel Shayok. He's a 6'6" guard.
Came from Virginia.
He's big and he's strong, and he's the best scorer on that team.
Taylor Horton Tucker is one of the most underrated freshmen in the country.
And they always play really good defense, and I feel like that's a key thing, especially when it comes tournament time, to watch out for. And they're obviously really well coached. Steve Prom's been there since 2015, took it over for Fred Hoiberg. So this team knows what they need to do when it comes tournament time, and I think they have the pieces to make runs. And the good thing about being in the Big 12 is that it's maybe not as top-heavy as like the Big 10 necessarily, because
It's usually Kansas.
yeah, it's basically
Yeah.
just Kansas up there, but the rest of the Big 12 are always solid. So they play in a good enough conference where I think they play good enough talent to be ready for tournament style play. The other team that I'll throw in there, which isn't that big like surprise, but Nevada, people always forget about them. They're another team with a lot of experience, especially with the Martin twins being
You've been
in the
talking about
tournament last
Nevada all
year.
year, though.
Right. But they dropped a game early in the season that surprised a lot of people. So I think people, even now that they're back in 6th for the standings, people kind of just overlook them. And I can understand that, but you got to realize that when it comes tournament time, they have a lot of experience. And the Martin twins are just so good that they can carry that team. if they need to.
Yeah. Let's get into breaking down the NBA's All-Star Weekend. It's Joey's favorite time of the year. It's what he waits for 364 days a year.
It's like Christmas all over again.
It's like Christmas all over again. He's waiting to unwrap those presents. So, Joey, the first present you got to unwrap, the USA World Game. USA won. Kyle Kuzma got the MVP. What was the highlight of the USA World Game for you?
USA finally winning.
That's true. I mean, usually it's pretty one-sided that the world always takes it.
I was going to say, recently the world team has been winning, so it was nice to see the USA team win. Granted, on paper, they seem to have a better lineup overall than the world team this year. But it's always a pretty competitive game. It's still an all-star weekend event, so it's nothing like super exciting, but it was definitely fun to watch. And it definitely shows that there's some good talent coming in to the NBA at the moment.
Let's go more. There's not really much more to break down from the USA World Game. It was pretty lackluster, to say the least. Kuzma put up a lot of points. Luka struggled.
Jason Tatum
had a good
Trae
game.
John Collins had more impressive dunks in that game than the dunk contest.
Oh yeah, Trae Young
That
and John
360,
Collins.
yeah.
That's what I was nervous about, is that he seems to be a more in-game dunker.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this too, kind of talk about when we get to the dunk competition. But I feel like you think Giannis is more of an in-game dunker too.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't think he would succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Skills competition. Joe, you got a gripe with the skills competition, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Let's hear it.
I think
What's the
they
gripe?
need to change the format.
Again.
They need to revert it back to what it was, where it's a time-based event, and there needs to be more passing, maybe another dribble chicane. The biggest problem that I had with this, Jason Tatum won the whole event. He was losing every single round up until the shot. And I feel like that should
And the
not,
shot that he's talking about is the half-court shot Tatum hit.
yeah. So at the end of the skills competition, you have to hit a 3-point shot. You go through a dribble chicane thing, and then you do a pass into a little barrel, and then you go for a layup, and then you go back down the other way and shoot a 3. It's super short, and there's not a whole lot of skill involved, and it always comes down to that last shot, and I don't feel like that encompasses a skills competition. Back in the day, when they first brought it along, there was, I think, 2 or 3 passes.
Chest pass, bounce pass.
Yes, and you had to do different passes, and you had to dribble more, and it was just time-based, and the last shot was just a layup, I think. They eventually moved it, I think, to a free throw, but I like that, and I like it being timed rather than head-to-head, so that no matter what, you're not seeing the guy that you're against. You're hopefully pushing it. Not everybody's going to, because it's All-Star Weekend, but I feel like that would be more competitive, and it would show off more skills. I understand they wanted to get big men involved into it, and I can appreciate that, but it's kind of hurting the whole competition as a whole, and it's not really the big man's fault because they've won a couple, but I would just rather see more skills involved.
So, kind of by your reasoning, Trae Young probably should have won the skills competition.
I think so.
Yeah.
He seemed to try the hardest as well.
Yeah, he wanted it. Tatum just throws up a half-court shot, and luckily it banks in as
Right.
Trae's trying to hit the 3 for the win. 3-point competition. Joe Harris and Steph made it to the finals. Joe Harris takes it all. You were talking about pre-show that you had your eye on Joe Harris going into it.
I was actually at a friend's house watching the 3-point contest, and I was like, hey, don't sleep on Joe Harris. I know he plays for the Nets. I know that nobody really sees what he's doing, but he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league this season. He's had a breakout season, averaging 3 or 4 threes a game, solid like 13 points or so. He's just a role player, but he strokes, and he ended up winning the whole thing. It was a good competition. 3-point contest is still the best competition in All-Star Weekend.
Well, yeah, because the dunk contest has been
in recent years.
Yeah.
Overall, at least. And you get the most stars in the 3-point contest.
Nowadays, because most stars are 3-point specialists.
Well, there's still star dunkers.
That's true. Dunk contest. Who stood out for you in the dunk contest?
No one.
Nobody.
Hamadou Diallo.
Oh, wait.
did look
Update.
good.
Malik, did you watch the dunk contest? You said last week on the show that you were not going to tune in.
No, I did not.
You didn't watch any of it.
No.
Okay. It's true to his word.
Saw highlights.
But you didn't watch it live.
Nope.
All right. Anyways, Joe, who stood out for you?
I guess
You said
Hamadou
nobody?
Diallo.
Okay.
He had some solid dunks, and I always like when people can throw their dunk down within 1 or 2 tries, and he did that every time. So that's always a good sign.
And we led the show off with the Hamadou Diallo dunk over Shaquille, where he stuck his elbow in the rim. He did use his off arm on the back of Shaq. I don't think it was really too big of a deal.
I don't think he did much. I think that's more of almost just telling Shaq, "Hey, I'm here."
Exactly.
And Shaq leaned a little bit, but overall, if
it
you
was
look
still
at
a
it,
super impressive dunk.
the way that he jumped vertically as soon as he started his jump, you could tell he was going to be fine. And I think that was great. The elbow hang at the end was a great end to that dunk. Like, I didn't expect that coming out. So overall, dunk contest was terrible. Again, it's back to being normal.
And well, here's the thing with the dunk contest. They don't have any big names that do it anymore.
It's because of social media.
What do you
People
mean
are-
it's because of social media?
Because they know, and I swear, these guys know that if they go on the dunk contest and they fail, social media is going to blow up.
So you're saying the stars of the NBA who claim
So-
they claim they don't care about the outside and the fans watching, they just go there, they do their job, and they try to win as much as possible. They're not doing the dunk contest because of social
You're
media.
saying they're all
Yep.
sensitive babies.
They're scared.
Is what you're saying.
That's
I
what your
really
that's
think
what
that
your
they're-
claim is.
I really think that that's part of it.
What's the other part? Because I need to put this together.
They just think they're too good for it. They don't need to do it. I don't know.
I think that may be more of it because they're NBA players, they're competitors. If you love competition, like Jordan and Dominique Wilkins did in the 80s, they love competing against each other. They just wanted to win everything. If you love competing, if you want to win, if you're the best, why not?
I mean,
Why not?
Do you think that comes down to being this day and age that people are too buddy-buddy, that they don't want to go against each other? Does that play a role at all? I'm just throwing it out there.
that's possible.
Because
I mean-
every
Well-
year in the dunk contest, we just keep seeing young guys
That's it.
every time.
I was
Because
just
they're
gonna-
just trying to make a
In
name
that
for
case, there
themselves.
probably wouldn't be an all-star draft, so they wouldn't step on each other's toes.
Right. I'm just saying
mean-
for the dunk contest, it's a little different.
talking about the All-Star draft. LeBron he drafted a lot of free agents for this upcoming summer. Kawhi, AD, Kyrie,
Speaking
lot.
of AD, y'all see that picture of them walking
Uh-uh.
into the locker room and high-fiving each other and just looking at each other?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh man, you have the looks they give each other. It's priceless. You got to see it.
It's like it's a done deal that he's.
They
Laker.
walk into the locker room, dap each other up, and they just like look at each other with like it's so funny. The NBA is
But yeah, dunk
weird
contest,
and dirty. Yeah.
weird and dirty. Please, soundbite, click, soundbite. We need
Tampering, everybody's
that. We
tampering.
need that. Who's gonna be the next? Who's the next big star that's currently in the NBA that's actually gonna do the dunk contest? Like, if you think about years past,
Zion Williamson.
Currently.
again, the thing with Zion is he'll still be a rookie. It's not
Yeah.
like an established star within the NBA.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, don't get me wrong,
That's
he's-
established stars.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I mean, the last
Nobody.
time we had established stars in the dunk contest, it was that year they did the teams, and it was so
Oh, my
bad.
God.
They had
Yeah.
John Wall, Paul George.
That was the one year they actually had a chance.
Yeah,
and
they actually
completely
had-
blew it.
Exactly. They had
Damian Lillard was
they
in
had
that.
so many big name players, and they just had them compete, and it was like
Maybe that's why they did it, because it
Nah.
wasn't a real competition. They just did a few dunks, and then John Wall did one dunk and won.
I mean, that's possible, but yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
It's even worse to me because every other year there's a star that teases, "Oh yeah, I'll do it next year." LeBron in 2008. Next year I'm putting my name.
And
there.
then he had the whole going to Miami situation
Yeah.
that
now
ran that to the
now we
ground.
have Giannis. Should I do it next year? Don't tease the people.
exactly.
Giannis.
Just do
And
it or
then-
don't do it.
And then
Exactly.
Donovan Mitchell chiming in saying, "If you do it, I'm in."
Now that Donovan
They do that. It's just
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
yearly thing. It's a yearly occurrence.
Right.
Oh, there's so much hate comes out. The dunk contest was just a bunch of no names. Giannis, maybe I'll do it. Donovan, I'll join if
Zach
you do.
LaVine,
And then someone else.
Zach LaVine at Aaron Gordon. Should we do it again?
Yes,
I was
see,
gonna
that's what I'm
say,
saying.
what would your guys' like fantasy dunk contest be?
For
I-
next year.
I think if them four did it next year, it would.
Which 4?
The buzz would be insane. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon come back.
Zion Williamson.
Giannis. Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
He can't think of his own favorite player.
And Giannis does it. But the Zion has to be in it, so that's not good.
All right, mine. How many?
If them 4 were in it next year, the buzz would be insane.
They only have 4.
Yeah, my dream for next year is Giannis, Zion. I want to say LeBron, even though I know there's a 0% chance because I like Kobe did it, Michael did it. I want to see LeBron.
Kobe
do
did it when he was 18.
It doesn't matter. Kobe still did it.
I know, but LeBron is.
All right, so I won't put LeBron in it, but Zion, Giannis, gotta have Zach LaVine. Who would be the 4th? Who's one of the better dunk?
Aaron Gordon.
No, I know Aaron Gordon, but
another really athletic guy that probably won't be good in a dunk contest that'll come in
I
4th.
could see Hamadou. I think Hamadou has a lot of stuff extra in the bag.
You're talking about the 4th man, like Andre Drummond.
You want Andre?
The guy you
Drummond?
just throw in there.
Andre was so bad.
Who is
in
the
dunk
perfect?
contest.
That's a hilarious conversation. Who would be the perfect 4th man in a dunk contest? The guy that's just there
Andre,
to wave and
John
do
Collins. Talk
wave
about
and
this.
miss a dunk.
Talk about the dunk contest. John Collins is in the Andre Drummond category of bad. It was
Yeah.
that bad. But yeah. So yeah.
Shouts out to the 4th men that are there for the money.
Shout out to the dudes riding the bench collecting them checks. The Sunday night, the actual All-Star game. Team LeBron beat Team Giannis, kind of like most people expected, 178 to 164. Again, I'm gonna stick with you, Joe, because this is you breaking down the All-Star weekend for the people.
All right.
Who stood out, and what were some of the best moments from that game?
Who stood out? I wonder who. It's a complete surprise.
Blake
Who stood
Griffin.
out?
Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant.
not your real
obviously.
answer.
I mean, he won the All-Star MVP.
I didn't pay attention to him once.
Really?
I didn't even watch what happened after the game. I didn't know he won MVP.
I just like that when Kevin Durant's like, he all of a sudden he locks in and he starts to like get rolling a little bit, and it's like, well, I guess he's gonna win the MVP.
I swear Damian Lillard chucked up like 28 threes.
Did
He missed like his first 8 and
That's-
then hit like 7.
That's
and,
for all
like,
those
took
years
some
that he's
more.
been snubbed. So now every time he's in, he just chucks.
Got to get the shots up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Russell when Russell was fishing for MVPs.
Yeah. Or what it was Giannis last year that just really tried hard.
Giannis got robbed this year. If they win, he wins it. He had like 30
He had the most
points.
points by a foreign player
Yeah.
in All-Star game history.
Best moments, Joe?
I mean,
Dirk
the
hitting back-to-back
the
threes.
Steph oop to Giannis was pretty incredible.
That was I think that was one of the better dunks we've ever seen in an All-Star game.
He bounced past
The
it
execution
off
of
the
that play was
ground.
just
Giannis
perfect.
was at the
It was
top
perfect.
of the square
Yeah.
when he grabbed
It
that
was
thing and threw it
great
down.
all around.
I don't know. There's some crazy self alley-oops that have happened in the All-Star game, though.
I understand that, but watching that one in real time,
No, yeah, it was
Oh
definitely
yeah,
really good.
I saw it while it happened, and I was
like-
just laying
sat
in my
back.
bed. I jumped up and I just
Yeah,
leaned back like
Exactly. That's not something you see every day.
The Dirk 3-pointers were pretty cool
that was sentimental. That hit you right here.
because he's hit
you
some
right.
deep threes, so it was cool to see.
D Wade hit his first 3 too.
Okay,
They came out hot.
let's talk about this for a second. We talked about this pre-show, and I think this is something we really need to talk about.
Before you say it, you're wrong.
Something you need to talk
Something
about.
I need to
You're
get
wrong
off my chest.
before you say it.
Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki should not be wearing All-Star jerseys.
Continue.
Because they were added to the game. They were not voted in by the fans.
They're
They were
supposed
not
to wear
they were not voted in by the media. So why are they wearing an All-Star jersey?
Are they supposed to wear
should be-
special
Yes,
legends
no, no, no.
jerseys?
They should wear just their own jersey. Because
Everybody
they
wearing All-Star
be-
uniforms and they just have
Malik,
their regular
Malik,
uniform.
Hear me out. They did not earn that jersey. All these players earn the jersey through their play. Dwayne and Dirk did not. It's cool. Oh, it's their last season in the NBA. Yeah, it's cool to see them.
They're
It's
special
cool to-
editions.
Thank you. They are special editions, not All-Stars.
I have a
Don't
But
wear the All-Star
It
jersey.
would look ridiculous if they were out there.
It's
just with
ridiculous
regular
that special
uniforms.
editions are in the All-Star game.
I don't think it's ridiculous.
I have a question. Did their additions to the All-Star game take anything away from the All-Star game? No.
Did
Yes,
it
it
add?
did.
Did
Yes,
it
it
what
add?
did it,
Did it
what did it take
add?
away?
Yes, it did.
What did it take
took
away?
What's the point? Okay, don't work for an All-Star.
What did it take away?
Minutes from people that
Oh my
actually deserved
gosh.
it.
They only play.
They didn't play very much.
Dirk
But
played like
those
10 minutes
minutes
the whole
could have
game.
went to someone else.
Oh my God, Nikola
All-Star
Vucevic
game-
didn't get 3 more minutes.
All-Star game minutes
He
are
earned 'em.
Stop it.
meaningless.
Dwayne
Stop
Wade
it,
and
man.
Dirk Nowitzki should have been wearing suits on the
Those
bench if they want
minutes,
to be new.
those minutes that they played don't matter at all.
they're not.
The game is not competitive.
They're treating them like they're Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant.
Chris.
Was Kobe?
Did you know that Dirk Nowitzki is in the top 10 scorers of all time?
I know he
They
is.
they are top
But
players.
he is
of
not-
this
Do you know
generation.
Dwayne Wade is one of the best shooting guards of all time?
Shooting guard's such a thin position. First of all,
It's still a very
He's-
big thing.
he's not Michael Jordan.
There is a reason why this only happens every now and then.
This is
Dwayne
the
Wade,
first year that I don't understand.
Jordan pretty much just got in because
Jordan's
it.
Michael freaking Jordan. I don't want to
wasn't
hear
Kobe
hate
in the
on
All
that.
Star game is
Kobe got
second to
voted,
last
but
year,
Kobe got
or-
voted in by the fans. No fans voted in Dwayne Wade or Dirk. Kobe was voted in by the fans,
They did have a lot of votes, though.
but they did not get the spot.
listen. There is nothing wrong with this. Legends don't retire every single year.
Fine.
So
If
special
you want-
editions don't happen
If you want
every
to add
year.
a special edition to the All Star game, that's fine, Adam Silver.
It doesn't happen
Don't give them
every-
an All Star jersey because they didn't earn it.
I feel like that argument is so terrible.
Exactly. What's
You're okay
they're
with them
wearing-
being added, but
Yeah.
it's just the jersey.
But
That's
they're
the problem.
legends.
And don't
But-
wear and don't play.
But they're
You can
and
wear a
don't
suit on the
play.
bench. You can be assistant coach.
Listen, Vince, when you retire,
Vince is gone.
Vince in.
No, Vince Carter. This is his last year. How come he didn't get the special edition?
Well, he hasn't officially
Oh,
committed
so he's
to
got to say
retiring.
he's doing the one last dance. So that's what
honestly,
he can do.
I'm-
Yeah.
That's so
never
dumb.
mind. Take that back. Don't put Vince isn't a legend. Don't put Vince in there.
Joe, do you take offense
Vince
to that?
isn't a legend. He's
A-
a Hall
a
of Famer,
little,
but he's not a
but-
legend.
Technically, his numbers don't line up with the likes of Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki, at least.
There are tons of Hall of Famers that aren't
He's
legends.
kind of like a legend for dunking, so that's a different.
Yeah.
I get what Malik's saying. It hurts a little, but
Before we break down,
Chris is wrong. Moral of the story.
I mean, that's the moral of most stories here. Before we break down the second half of the NBA, the unofficial second half of the NBA season, kind of give a little bit of predictions, a little Piston talk. There were some actual Piston news over this past weekend. Former Piston Ben Wallace was announced as a finalist for the Basketball Hall of Fame.
First
Finally.
ballot. First ballot.
So you guys think he's getting in for sure?
Yeah.
Joe?
Most
Look
definitely.
at I see something in Joe's eyes.
I hope
Listen,
so.
Joe doesn't
Ben,
think.
Ben
I'm
is
scared
most
because he was
definitely-
left off the ballot for a while.
Ben is most definitely getting in because of the people that they're throwing in now. I think the lists of players getting in are getting so blurred. The lines are getting so blurred that you have to let Ben Wallace.
I mean, Ben
in.
Wallace
You
is a
have to.
4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Back-to-back
Arguably one of the
Defensive
best
Player of the Year.
defensive players of all time.
Tracy McGrady got in first ballot.
See, that's surprising to me.
The lines are blurred now.
But Tracy McGrady's numbers, though,
He had 2 seasons that were like almost all-time great guard seasons. He was a perennial all-star. Overall, he was a really good player.
he could probably be better than. Hot take alert.
He's not first
You
ballot.
guys want to hear a hot take?
What?
Tracy McGrady, I think, could have been better than Kobe Bryant.
He could have.
I agree. There's a lot of stuff.
Possible.
There's a lot of
Maybe just because of
reports
his
out
size,
there that
but-
Tracy just didn't take it seriously.
I believe
I don't
he
know if
took
you
it
guys have seen
seriously. I think he was a different type of
He didn't
scorer.
he didn't have the Kobe mentality that Kobe literally just lived in the gym.
But also Tracy wasn't a talkative guy. Tracy wasn't fiery. Tracy scored.
Tracy was fiery.
I guess it
When
was
Tracy
leading by
was-
example. Tracy was the sleepy-eyed assassin. He would give you 40 and not blink the entire game. He'd just be.
Yeah.
He'd get fiery when he dunked on somebody.
Yeah.
When he went on a crazy run, but when Tracy put 35 on you, he showed a little bit of emotion.
All right.
That's just the type of player he was.
Will any other Piston from the Going to Work crew make it into the Basketball Hall of Fame?
I think 2 more definitely.
Definitely lock it in.
Chauncey is getting in, and then it's between Rip and Rasheed, and I think it's Rip.
And I think we're talking about pre-show too. You say Rip because this is the Basketball Hall of Fame,
Exact-
not the NBA Hall of Fame.
I forget that sometimes, and
And I
most
think
people forget that.
exactly.
sometimes.
Most people forget that. So
It's the
you have-
Naismith Basketball
exactly.
Hall of Fame.
So you have to take into account their college careers as well, which Rip had a great college career.
All-American at UConn, yeah.
Won a title. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Malik. I think Chauncey makes it in, and then it's hard to say between. I'm guessing that Rip's gonna make it in because of his UConn national championship. You think similar to Grant Hill? I mean, obviously Duke star.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a similar path there. That their NBA careers maybe. I mean, obviously Rip was great for the Pistons, but overall,
When you
statistically,
consider Rip has a more successful NBA career than Grant Hill, honestly, which is crazy.
Well, here's the thing.
Rip has more All-Star. It's
You got to
because
put
of Grant
an
Hill's injury.
Exactly. You got to put an asterisk on it. Grant Hill, what was it? He had the most All-Star votes by a rookie in NBA history or something like that.
yeah. And then
The fact that Grant also could have been one of the greatest is the reason why
He
he's
could
in.
have, yeah.
yeah, and then Rashid has always been one of the most underrated big men during his whole era. And
His loud mouth has been overshadowing his skills.
Yeah.
And
for the
I think
longest.
Rashid also kind of formed his game into the role needed for the Pistons.
yeah, and I
He
always
could have been a lot better than what he
I
was.
was
Could have
gonna
put a lot
say,
more numbers up.
I always feel that Rashid was probably, if you go technically and skillfully, he was probably the best player on that team.
Yeah, skill wise, yeah.
But I mean, he didn't show it at all times, and he was more of a leader, a vocal leader, which was nice. So it'll be hard for him to make it. He bounced around teams a lot. I think if he would have made it with the Blazers, they were really close to making the NBA Finals. I think that would have maybe put him over the hump. People also forget he did have a really good career at North Carolina, but it'll be harder for him, I think. And like we said, Rip having that national championship will really help, I think. Having a national championship and an NBA championship are really key factors there.
I mean, we can all agree that Tayshaun's not getting in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Not getting in.
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page there.
He's in the Pistons Hall of Fame, though.
Yes.
Does Tayshaun deserve his jersey retired?
Probably not.
No.
Thank you. Okay.
I hate to say it, but
Okay.
he probably not.
He doesn't.
All right.
But he should not be.
Makes me feel better.
He should not be overlooked ever
Yeah.
in Pistons lore. Tayshaun should not be overlooked. He's in the category of most underrated Pistons ever. He's in the category.
I give it to you.
He's so
Yeah,
close.
I'm not going to argue that.
He's really close, just because of, like, his long tenure as a Piston.
His tenure
but
was terrible once they broke up that
I
team.
also think
Tayshaun was one of the worst Pistons
I also
during
think
that whole era
he
of the Sad Boys.
he deserves huge amounts of respect for the role he took on that Pistons team.
You can't take anything away from him because he played such a big role with a team that won a championship. So regardless of what happened after that, you can't take it away. He did bring a championship to the city when Detroit, quite frankly, hasn't seen much success in a long time.
Also, in those later Pistons years, the injuries started coming and he started losing the athleticism.
Let's not give him the easy way out here. Come on, he
Tayshaun's
just
my
didn't
guy,
care.
man.
He
I'll
just
never
didn't
slander
care.
Tayshaun.
Once they
Excuse
traded,
me? He probably didn't care.
No,
really.
once they traded
probably didn't
Chauncey,
care a little.
Tayshaun did not
I wouldn't care that much either.
I'm just saying.
He knew Joe Dumars was
Wow.
messing everything up.
Chris had more faith in Brandon Knight and Reggie Jackson when they went down with injuries than Tayshaun.
Reggie has a higher points per game
Oh
average than
my
Tayshaun ever did.
gosh.
in his
Hey, Chris,
Pistons.
speaking of losses, maybe we should review the final NFL standings we did.
Oh, that
And,
was a big loss that I took. That was a big loss. That was
Tayshaun
a rough
Prince,
season.
that guy.
Not
Not a Hall of Famer, though.
all right. So we got about 5 or so minutes left on the show. Second half bold predictions for the NBA season.
My first prediction is that the Philadelphia 76ers finish the season as the hottest team in the NBA.
Similar to how they
And-
did last year.
They make a run to the finals.
Let's see where the Sixers are 6.5 games out of the number 1 seed. Do you think they finish top 3?
Yes.
They're at 5 right now.
They finished top 3, and they, with Tobias Harris playing at this level and that team, just, it seems like their chemistry is a lot better than their chemistry is better than I expected it would be from the start. It seems like Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid are settling into playing with each other, and they're going to be that team that scares teams in the Western Conference going to the playoffs. They might sweep a few teams.
Joe.
It's not a super hot take, but I just have a feeling.
We haven't had a good Tyson hot take in a minute.
He had a hot one last podcast, didn't he? He had
That was the first hot one in about
really
2
hot
months.
take. Yeah.
I feel like the Magic are going to take the 8th spot away from the Pistons.
You think the Pistons are going to miss the playoffs?
Yeah.
Both the Orlando Magic take the 8th seed.
I mean, I could too much faith in the Orlando Magic.
I could take the easy way out and say the Lakers are going to miss the playoffs, but that's kind of been like a bandwagon.
That's everybody's hot. That's literally everybody's hot take.
All right,
yeah.
here's the thing with the Lakers missing the playoffs.
Man, I hope it happens.
I don't think it will because I don't think the NBA will let it.
You think the NBA is going to be able to do that much about it?
To be honest, my conspiracy
Have you
theory,
seen the officiating this year, Joe?
The conspiracy part of my brain is thinking, yeah, he might.
That's what I'm saying. Like the conspiracy,
he might be right
with the history of the NBA. Like it's not even near what it was.
The King not making the playoffs is that'd be. They would almost impossible.
They would have to be in close games though, and a lot of their games lately that they've dropped have been blowouts.
I don't think that's going to be the case though for the whole entire second half of the season.
I'm just saying. Something to watch out for.
That'd be interesting if by some bad call.
Because they've already dropped their games against like Atlanta and New York, so that's
but that
pretty
that
pretty
was
bad.
What post trade deadline? They're still kind of reeling from the
just a
AD
bunch
stuff.
of excuses.
I thought after that Celtics win, they were gonna start getting hot.
That was a great win.
That was a great team win, and then they instantly went flat a few games later. That Hawks loss was bad.
That was rough.
It was really bad. Also, I saw a clip that somebody put on Twitter. I wish I remembered their name so I could give them full credit for it. But LeBron might still be hurt in that Hawks game. In that Hawks game,
yeah, I've heard things. About
he was
that.
getting He was getting matched with Trae Young. He was getting matched with other guards that he could easily dominate. And he would dribble. He would dribble into the paint, stop, look around, and throw it to somebody.
Yeah, there was that really concerning video clip.
Yeah.
He drove to the basket. And he was literally at the basket with Trae Young on him, and he passed it out to, I think, Kyle Kuzma in the corner.
He stopped, looked around, threw it in the corner, and it was a turnover, and he just dropped his head. Something is off.
It was weird.
Something's off.
Something to look into.
Also, Jazz, I think they can make another surprise first round.
The problem is,
win.
If LeBron misses the playoffs, ESPN's still going to find a way to talk about LeBron.
Well, if he makes the playoffs, that's the biggest news of the season.
They're going to
if he misses,
they're going to consistently talk about what do they need to do over the offseason
while
playoff basketball is going on.
It's LeBron, the face of the NBA, with the Los Angeles Lakers, the most talked about team in the NBA. I mean, and SportsCenter's all about, and ESPN's all about creating a buzz.
The first video of the team workout after they missed the playoffs will be the highest viewed video maybe in NBA history. That month after, when it's just them in the gym and somebody somehow gets a video, everybody's like, "Oh, what's happening?"
Quick, we got a minute. Piston prediction for the second half of the season, Joe.
They're gonna miss the playoffs. They're only gonna win maybe 10 to 13 games. They have a really easy side of their schedule. They play like the Knicks and Bulls and crap teams, and then they play the really tough teams like the Warriors and Denver and OKC, things like that.
Malik.
Pistons make the 8th seed, and there's no way they try to tank after they make the 8th seed.
I agree with Malik. I think they make the 8th seed and just lose by an average of 30 points per game against the Milwaukee Bucks.
I say they trick Pistons fans by winning one game and being competitive in the rest.
You think?
I say they completely trick the fan base and the organization.
I mean,
and we get set back another 10 years.
They ain't tricking me. They haven't for years.
Oh yeah, they won't trick us.
Well, that's our show for this week.
They might trick you.
I'm already tricked. That's our show for this week. Views
man.
from the Sideline, February 19th, 2019. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Going into next season, Chris is like, Don might be the guy. Going into this season,
Don for MVP.
Don might do it. Be the dude.